Welcome to Steelworks Strength Systems, everyone. My name is Brian Turpak, and today we're going to be looking at the elastic energy system when it relates to running. So if we look at some of the things that drive running, you have, obviously, you think about muscles, okay? You think about your nervous system. You think about bones, obviously our skeletal structure. That's what we move. And then you think about our energy systems, so you think about your aerobic energy system, your glycolytic energy system, even your phosphagen system. All of these things are kind of active participants in the running cycle. But there's a couple other things that we need to think about that help drive running from a passive standpoint. And what we're looking at there, tendons and fascia, the so-called connective tissues. And the beauty of these things is that they don't require active energy transport to work. What these things rely on is the absorption of force and then the transmitting of force. Okay, so they can absorb energy and then redirect energy. That's what really drives our ability to be capable of running very long distances compared to a lot of other animals out there in the wild. So today's videos, we're going to be looking at how we can develop our body's elastic batteries. Okay, and we're going to look at some real simple drills that are entry level that anyone can do that not only help build this elastic energy system, but also can help diagnose movement dysfunction. So let's take a look at some of these very simple drills. So the series of jumps that we're looking at right now come from an Olympic sprint coach, jumps coach by the name of Dan Paff. He's with Altus. And these, again, are very entry-level jumps. This would probably be the first type of jumping / plyometric sequence that you would do in a training program before you start getting into some really high volume, higher intensity type of jumps. Okay, so we talked about last weekend when we were doing our A skips that one of the most important parts of the running cycle is the stance phase. Okay, this full support phase is where we get a lot of our power from our quads, from our glutes specifically, okay, and also the finish of our hip extension with our hamstrings. So these jumps are going to start from the heel, okay? So we're going to do a couple variations. The first variation we're going to look at is the double hop forward. And again, we want to hop through the heels, again, to mimic that support stance phase. So if I'm from here, you can hold your hands out in front, and we're just going to hop not from the toes, but from the heels. And these hops can be really small amplitude, and we want to try and think about being as quiet as we can. Okay? You should see some flexion in the ankles, the knees, and the hips concurrently. Okay? The next variation you can do forward. You can also do backwards. So we'll do the same exact thing, again, leading from the heel. Okay? And again, the jumps don't need to be super high amplitude. So they can be really small. And that's the double leg hop, forward and backwards. You can also do double leg hops from the side, so moving laterally. And then the other direction. Okay. The last variation is single leg hopping. Again, the feet will be out in front. Okay. Again, coming from the heel. Okay. And you can also do it backwards. And then laterally and medially. So if we're on one leg, we can jump medially, and we can jump laterally. Another great thing you can do with these jumps is you can play with the tempo. So if we go back to the double leg bound, we can do a sequence of 1 jump, 1, 2 jumps, 1, 2, 3 jumps, and then continuous jumping. And that will inform us in terms of like, well, where are we weak? Are we weak in the hips? Do you find that 1 jump is harder to do than 3 jumps? So for instance, we can get from here, 1 jump. Can you stick the landing? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then continuous after that. And how you respond to those variations of the jump, again, inform, do you have weaknesses in specific places? Is it easier to jump forwards or is it easier to jump backwards? When you're jumping from one leg to the other or one leg single, is it easier to travel in one direction on one leg versus the other? We'll talk more about, we can look at more about that in future videos in terms of giving more specific prescriptions. But again, the multi-jump variations, this sequence, this series of jumps is again a very entry-level way of adding plyometrics to your running program. If you have questions about plyometrics or any type of strength and conditioning work, please email me at brian@steelworkstrength.com. Thanks.